So today I'm speaking with the wizard of quitting porn, and yes, this is a
Yeah.
really interesting attire you have there. So can you tell me the
Thank you.
reason for using this beautiful piece of clothing?
Um, Mainly just privacy, to be honest. I didn't always used to be like this, but um, I think there's not really much benefit to being famous, and I think that if you do aspire to chase like audience and recognition and stuff like that, then I think it gets in the way of the art creation process, which is a sort of very weird way to say that, but ultimately it's about keeping less things on my mind at all times. That is the goal. That is the optimization that we're onto is effectively it. But yeah, um,
So
yeah, and
maybe
it's sort of like it's like pardon me, I interrupted. I hate
no,
doing
it's
that.
fine. It's fine.
It's sort of like it's also what Seth Godin, who's a guy I respect. He talks about a purple cow. Like if you're driving along, like you're like boom, 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 and you see you see cows along like the highway. I'm like, oh yeah, and then you see a purple cow, you'd be like, purple cow? Like what the heck? This is the purple cow, right? Like it's not
Ah,
about fame. It's not about it's something a bit different. Um, and also it has the beautiful benefit of not making my face known to everyone, which I think, this has been divided for. This is what I've been wrestling with for a bit. Is why I haven't been uploading videos or anything. Is like, how do I approach this properly? That like last year I spent like 8 days in Seattle Airport, and I know SeaTac very well. That for this point, I knew exactly where to go in each spot. And it was like I was just like walking around one day, and I was like, what if everyone in this airport recognized what my face looked like? And I was like, like no chance. Yeah, that's just dystopic. So I think that thirst for fame, that sort of like, man, I hope that it sort of ruins people. It's not good. Like, yeah. Anyway, that's my ramble on it.
well, you could also say that you're putting your method first instead of your persona, whereas a lot of like people that are big in this in on YouTube in general, like it has something narcissistic about it.
Mm,
So
mm,
you're like in all everything you do, you're putting your method first and not yourself or the possible ways you could monetize it. You're really like
mm.
doing something beneficial for humanity in a sense. And it sounds a bit pretentious the way I put it, but I really think it's good that we have people who are not like prioritizing commercial things, but are really on some kind of purpose and a mission. And that's what I respect about you.
Thank you, mate. Luca, that's really well put. Yeah, putting the method first instead of the persona. Yeah, when I get in the proper writing flow, it's like I disappear, and so it's for that reason I don't really want my personality associated with my book. Um, it's like we should probably talk about what that is in a second, but it's like but it's bigger than all of us. Like there's a vibe that we're reaching. There's a mission here. There's like the silver lining of mass pornography use is that it's a common denominator for billions of people. So if you can direct that energy, and people are going to have a lot of energy if they're practicing semen retention. If you can direct that energy
Yes.
towards, to like something to, just creating a more beautiful world, then I think the sky is the limit. The whole world is the world. So, yeah.
Yes. So there will be people watching or listening to this interview who know you really well or know your book really well, but there will also be people finding this video or who have no idea who you are. Well, that's not that important because you don't really like putting the attention on yourself, but just in general, they may not be aware of your method or your book even in general. So can you maybe give a short summary of first of yeah, I wanted to ask who you are, but maybe you already said something about that, and it's not that important. But maybe in the context of the book, who are you and what is the method?
So EasyPeasy is the de facto method for quitting pornography nowadays. If you go into the scene for long enough, which is a shame that there is a scene, to be honest. When we Yeah, then you'll find EasyPeasy, and EasyPeasy is effectively just a method to deconstruct the beliefs why people use pornography in the first place. My personal experience with quitting porn was like most people that I found porn, I think when I was about 12, which is, if you think about how frighteningly addictive pornography is, that is a true tragedy. And yeah, from that, like, it was just normal life for ages. So and desensitizing your brain to normal pleasures and everything. Like, it's everything that comes alongside that. But people know all this. Um, or, like, not kids when they're first using it, which was part of the thing we'll discuss today. And fortunately, the whole problem of like worldwide pornography consumption is very easy to solve. Like, it's like surprisingly easy to solve, but you have to get people off it first. And I struggled for a long time using like willpower based methods, which is essentially anything involving counting days, blocking porn, restricting yourself from using porn, rewarding yourself for not using it, or punishing yourself for using it. And any sort of method like that doesn't actually deconstruct the actual reasons why people use it in the first place. It just turns an addictive substance into a forbidden fruit, which isn't how you treat addiction. And so, yeah, after doing that for just a long time, I think I like at least like a year and a half, like 2 years, I eventually found EasyPeasy, just this Google Sites document, which was essentially Alan Carr's easy way to stop smoking. But some guy who we don't know who he is, but he's a legend wherever he is. He had rewritten. He essentially control F'd smoking to porn, and like PMO, which is porn masturbation orgasm. And
Yeah.
so he done that. And yeah, I read this book. I remember reading it. And I could not, I stayed up all night reading it. Like, it was just so phenomenal. And after that, I haven't wanted to use pornography since. And it's the difference between quitting with, like, as if, like, like, oh, I'm gonna have to like struggle, like I'm on like day like 34, like, and the urges won't go away, like, yeah, to like, huh, and like, like, like that sort of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
you quit so happily that it's really beautiful. So yeah, that's where we're at.
So you wanted to spread that message further and help people turn their lives around.
Oh yeah, I should probably talk about my involvement in it. Not just like, so yeah, the problem is with that Google Science document is that it is extremely poorly written, extremely, like,
Oh,
very bad, like so bad. So what I did, so I was on a family holiday in New Zealand, with I see my Kiwi people over the bloody pond. That's not where the correct spot, but over the passage or whatever. And I rock up there, and I'm just like, anytime we're driving in the car, which, like, if you want to go somewhere in New Zealand, it's basically volcano zone or some, so like, or tectonic plate fun. And so, like, they're all mushing around, and then they create mountains, and so you have to drive all around the mountains and everything. And so you're in the car for a bit. And so I would just write. I had like a remarkable tablet on one thing highlighting different spots. And then I would like merge paragraphs together, like completely rewrite things, like take heaps of it out. And then I had like on the other thing, like just like, I had like an e-reader connected to a Bluetooth keyboard. So I was just writing constantly. And yeah, that took me about a month of solid work doing that. Um, and then, like, as in 8 hours a day, 6 to 8 hours a day doing that on holiday. And yeah, then I just released it. It was like a LaTeX document, like just a PDF to start off with on a website, EasyPeasy Method. And then it went from it was like what's called PMO Hackbook.org. Great domain name, so super easy to say. PMO Hackbook, yeah. Like hack and then book. Like it's like a hack book because like no, EasyPeasy Method. And then then I rewrote it into R Markdown, but that's not very interesting to people. But point being, it's a free and open source book on how to quit pornography painlessly, immediately, and permanently without willpower or any sense of deprivation or sacrifice. And I'm currently rewriting it again. So yeah, it'll be even better. Even better. It'll be like a conversation. That's the vibe.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So why is it so important for you to keep working on the document, to keep rewriting it? Do you think it will reach even will it help even more people if it's presented in a different way?
Yeah, 100%. The problem I have with the book at the moment, it was effective, right? But the problem I have with it is that people read the book and they see this you want to do like an understanding sort of thing. You want to you want to move into like a plane where you're like, oh, I don't enjoy this. And so the way Alan Carr initially approached that was like, I'm just going to keep telling you why you don't like it. I'm going to keep telling you like, boom, 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 boom. Here is all the reasons, and blah blah. But the problem with pornography is that, and stress, it doesn't help. Doesn't relieve stress it creates. It doesn't help you to concentrate. It makes you less able to concentrate. Doesn't relieve boredom, like all these sorts of things. And not only that, but with translating that to pornography, that works. That goes over really well. But the problem is that people then it works for many people, but the problem is that people don't recognize that you need to de um, you need to deprogram yourself. You need to cultivate understanding because the little monster, which I've now renamed the Kuma in the rewrite after the Kuma meme, which is so good, that is a frame of mind. That isn't like a little that we can personify it and call it creature, but that frame of mind where thoughts appear is like just a desire to use pornography. And there are conceivably infinite reasons why you might want to use porn. But your job, like here, is to evaluate if your personality, when it's conditioned this frame of mind to generate thought, if you want that. And yeah, so you just got to evaluate the reasons why the Kuma is like the Kuma's reasons. And to this day, I've never found a reason why, like a valid reason to use pornography. You can do it if you're feeling like a loser, right? Like, yeah, but that isn't a good enough reason, right? And part of that, like conditioning, because it, I think that's a symptom of like modernity and like modern men. But yeah, if you can like go from yeah, anyway, I'm just moving my hand around a lot. But yeah, you got to
No
cultivate
problem. No
understanding.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah, like not like this. Yeah. Oh, I shouldn't do that. I'm like, yeah, be careful. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's just like dance moves, man. Like, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, you just gotta let me try again. Hold on 2 secs. All right. I'm gonna drink water. Hold on. I've got to be careful. All right.
Well, you're doing that very skillfully. Good job.
Yeah, I've been fasting Ramadan, so whatever. Anyway, so the reasons why the thought pattern that the porn industry or just you yourself, the Kuma addictiveness thought pattern has conceivably millions of reasons, infinite reasons to use pornography. And so then you can condition yourself to try and figure out and like wrestle with the Kuma, like, oh, is this a good reason or not? But no matter what, you can't outrun the fact that it's just addictive and it's desensitizing your brain. And so you can just like relax that and just return to the present moment. And it's just a vibe. So yeah, that's it.
So you mean that you're not supposed to be arguing with the Kuma in your brain?
Yeah, you just accept it. Like, pardon me, I interrupted again. But people call me and they're like, but what about like this? Like, what about like this reason and this? It's like, dude, do you want it? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, well, the fact that you don't, it's not like an unconditional, like, yeah, like, like you never have a doubt. Like I'm just like, if I'm like playing with my dog, like if I'm saying hi Lottie, like you're great, she's sitting there, you'll meet her on camera at some point. But if I'm like, hey, if I'm patting my dog, I'm not like thinking to myself, man, like I shouldn't pat my dog. Like that's sort of like, like, yeah. If
Yeah.
I like, oh, should I eat food? Like, oh, I don't know. Like, like, yeah, should I like starve myself to death? It's like, no, I shouldn't. Is that's going to hurt me,
Yeah.
Is watching pornography going to hurt me? Well, yeah, I know, like, just like reason, like baseline zero, which is like, this is you, then like that chemical effect that has created your personality, that's constructed the kuma, because you put like that, like, and like you don't go too into the deep abstraction of that. But you can, like, instead of being like here and like wrestling, like, oh, like trying to figure out what to do, you can just be like, no, I'm just gonna, like, I don't know, breathe and like return, like, just like notice the thoughts in my mind. Anyway, thanks for listening. Goodness, that was a long thought. Oh, yeah.
Well, I think it's really interesting. Like it's yeah, this is just a type of conversation that you usually don't see, or like it's I feel like there's a lot of, for example, on YouTube, there's a lot of videos that are pretty similar, but they never really go into this type of depth. And I just
Mm,
noticed that because you've written the book, you know so much about this
mm,
and experienced it as well. And you probably also see other people in your community because you've built up a community.
mm,
You've seen other people benefit from this as well.
mm. Yeah, it's the right thing to do. Like if people still aren't, like, if people still aren't, if there's any sort of, I want to create the best, like this addiction affects billions of people, literally, like either indirectly or directly, like as in people using it, or the effects of pornography. Like, it's that we have got to fix this. Like this is like paramount to society functioning. And then any benefit that we can collectively create after that is like then multiplied a billion fold. Like it's just, can you, like, these stories I hear from people, like not just like, not like, 100%, like, like, well, actually not, like I'm not discounting any, like the human experience of a world with pornography is evil. um it's like, not only like in like, I can think of, imagine if like if the world was like, if we understood that pornography was addictive like smoking, but except accessible from a young age. Like kids are vaping at 12 right now, but they were using porn first probably. um and like, yeah, like think of like a kid like becoming addictively more depressed and can't label why. And then like if he like, and like, he's looking at TikTok all day and he's just like feeling hopeless because like all these things are like playing off each other, and he commits suicide, right? He like, yeah, like, and we can't talk about it. We have to like drum up the fact that people are killing themselves, committing suicide with like, oh, he unalived himself, right? Like the fact that we're living in a world where suicidal depression, suicidal thoughts is normal. And like, people like the like, people don't understand that you're like, um you're not supposed to have suicidal thoughts verbatim. Like the concerning amount of suicidal thoughts is like being like, man, I should kill myself, like, and being like, should I kill myself or something. I don't think about that, like, as like, like, or and there have been times I was extremely suicidal depressed for like 1 hour, like 1 hour in my life after some things didn't go my way, like bad. And I was like, and like living like that was hell, was extremely extreme. I have the absurd amount of respect for people who can experience that state, um, in any amount of time, like, and like go through the strength of like, like that's insane, but you shouldn't have to live like that. And if we look at like if we deconstruct like the perversely sick society that we live in that is normalized, that there are so many different things that if we all work together we could just collectively solve pretty quickly. One of those things is addiction. And I haven't even jumped into like that's like one flip of the coin, or like elderly people who've like anyway, or a woman who has to worry about creepy guys all the time. Like that is like I have a sister, right? I love her to bits. I never want to have her deal with some guy who's just looking at her like I don't know, like, or I'm like like looking at her like just pervertedly, right? Like you can lust after someone when it's mixed with love, like that's like a whole thing because it's like a beautiful connection and dance. But like when it turns into like, or someone being raped, right? Because of someone like so desensitized to human emotion that they are just they're just like, man, porn is my life, man. You don't understand, like, or like I don't care or whatever. We're all like, oh my god, like yeah, it's horrific. Like I can't even put it into words, but if you think of the world like as in like sunshiny happy place, and then porn just creates a smokestack that is encompassing the entire world. Fortunately, like as I'm bumming everyone out, it's pretty easy to solve. If like how fast does a meme spread if you give people the way to quit for free and be like, yeah, and like here's how to spread that further, and like here's other stuff you can do like that will save you like well, there's just better, like not save like save you money, time, like all these sort of things. That's pretty cool because like we don't have like a collective purpose. Like there's no hope in the air, and you can't survive too long without that. So yeah, just got to change that vibe up. The way to do it is local action, and then like yeah, that's the only way you can do it. That's the only way. So yeah, I don't care. It's not about me, but I'm just gonna do everything I can and sort of inspire people to do that. Porn is the easy part, to be honest. Like curing billions of people from porn is so easy. Like it's like it's not even that hard. Like I can do it. I'm doing it at the moment. Like as in like I'm just getting ready to release this thing, and then yeah, I'm like I just had to be in the right mindset for it. Like yeah, I've tried tackling big projects in the past before. It hasn't gone. But yeah, I just the current like yeah, I learned a lot. Learned a lot. Had to be a bummer, but yeah, this is easy. It'll be all right. So yeah, thanks for listening.
Yes, but
Sorry it took so long. Is all I'm saying. Sorry it took so long. Yeah. But fortunately, figured it out. Yeah, the challenge was simply endlessly scalable system. That was it. That was it. So if you don't mind me, I'll just have some water to celebrate. Imagine you're doing like an interview and you have to like piss.
yeah.
You have like a bag, like you're on a stage full of people and you're like, sorry, I just got to pee. I've drunk like four of these guys. Like I really have to piss. Like
Yes.
yeah, like step one is like like a curtain on the stage, and you like like you're just like, oh, excuse me, I'll be back in a second. People just hear from your lapel mic just piss,
Yeah.
and then eventually you don't want to waste time, so you've like optimized it so much that you just have like a bag on stage, like you have like a shitty week, like just like oh that'd be like unprecedentedly unprecedented amount of bass. Yeah, that's sort of it. But
Yes.
anyway, I just want to point out that I'm not usually like this. Like, as in, like when I get on like a roll, I'm actually like quite. I was chatting to a chick who's like totally cute, and like I was like, like yeah, we both agreed that we don't usually like chat. Like, you don't like usually if you like monologue, then you sort of ramble. But usually, and it's a back and forth. You're a very good interviewer. You've got me chatting pretty well too. Yeah,
Okay.
thanks for listening. I know I ramble, but yeah. Anyway,
Well, yes. So pretty much the challenge for you um is to reach more and more people and make well what I find very interesting about this story in general, but what you said is that one of the biggest problems of fighting porn and porn use is that it's like a taboo, like we don't really talk about it. And then you want to make it normal for people to talk about the negative effects of porn.
Mm.
Because yeah, that's also something I've been thinking about for a very long time. Like it's so weird that we have this smoking nowadays, but nobody's really doing anything against it. Like there's this vanguard on the internet with, you know, all the whole movement against porn. Like there are different methods, and well, I know you have one method and you don't like the other ones, but in general, we have like this vanguard of people who have experienced problems with porn themselves, like I did, like you did, and that's why we are passionate about it. But then in broader society, it's like it's invisible.
Mm.
And sometimes
It's
when I talked, for example, about this with people, they with guys, of course, you don't talk about it with women, but I mean with guys, it's just they just think it's really weird that you're so that you seem to have a problem with porn, and then I remember a guy like I yeah, I think he thought it was a lot of nonsense, and then but then at some point he did admit that he also became desensitized, and everyone becomes desensitized. So he simply admitted that it just keeps getting worse and worse. So there's no normal, like on the long term, there's no normal porn use.
Yeah, there's no such thing as porn addiction as like a condition. There's just porn usage. There's just like people using addictive substance. Like that's what addiction looks like. And changing that, it's just stigma um, from people. Uh, it's just stigma against sexuality, but conflated with porn. And we just need to change. Yeah, like for a long time, people couldn't talk about smoking because it was like, like, what are you saying about me? Like, like, no, like I enjoy having a cigarette. Like it's, it's just who I am, right? Like, it helps me relax. Until people actually started discussing it, then there's no, but instead of being like, it would be weird if we called people like nicotineaholics instead of just smokers. But the same thing is like porn and porn users. Fighting that stigma is like, it's not even that hard, because I think you just start with like people who don't already don't like porn, which is like probably religious people, and you just be like, well, we got to discuss it. Sorry, we do, and like like most people will actually discuss pornography if you're like not like crazy. Like if you the dichotomy is sort of like 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 I love porn, like that sort of thing, um, or it is like yeah, this stuff's bad, or like people go to like, no, like, dude, you gotta like no fat like 90 days, like the only way, and like like I'm struggling, but like it's hard and it's good, and like, yeah, and that used to be me. Like, so I know how people feel. So yeah, the only way is like chatting about it locally, starting conversations. So yeah, probably um like letters to schools and like churches, mosques. It's currently Ramadan. I love Ramadan. And yeah, like if you get like a whole bunch of people just working together, being like, all right, we'll discuss it. And then like that's like the top of the trifecta. And then you have like social media destigmatizing at that, like getting people to share their stories. And then you that like these two sort of like make it normalized to talk about in the media, make it newsworthy. And then that changes the culture as well. But the real thing that changes culture is just conversation and yeah, and policy as well. But that's not really like like, yeah, you just don't want people to like yeah, like Texas Pornhub banned Texas from accessing their website because they didn't want to do age verification. This is like recent news. um and so yeah, like and like they host Pornhub still hosts like sexual exploitation material. Like it's like it's wild, and yeah, like there's so many factors that of the suffering caused by pornography. It's insane. So yeah, we've got to discuss it. Otherwise, VR porn's going to come. They got the Apple Vision Pro. Like it's going to be like, yeah, you just clock out of reality for like forever. And no, we can build a more beautiful one. Don't give up. That's how they get you. Apathy. Oh, yeah. Anyway, that's sort of the structure behind it.
So these are your goals.
Yeah. Yeah. My goal is a more local world, I think. Um, yeah, broadly you just start probably from right, like let's think of demographics to do with pornography. Right. So it's probably gonna be young people, 100%. It's gonna be older people as well, definitely. But mainly young people. And so you say, all right, congratulations on quitting porn. Would you happen to be a uni student by any chance? And like you can do this if like you're anyone, right? But would you happen to be a uni student, or just like someone who wants to do something in their local community, like someone who's like chilling? Well, anyway, we'll start with uni students. You can go. Did you know? Fun fact that you can microwave a potato, poke holes in it, boop, 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 pop it in the microwave, like you know. And I know this is a bit of a stretch from porn, right? But they're separate things, right? But anyway, we're just showing you this. Yeah. So yeah, you can cook a potato, and it's cheaper, healthier, and more sustainable than ramen. It'll leave you fuller. It'll fix like if you're gonna quit porn, then you might as well fix your diet too. And for nutrients, you could probably eat mussels because they're the most nutritionally dense food to man. And then you could probably also eat like if you really want to get into it, like you could eat beef liver as well. It's tasty. I like it. Like the offcuts of meat that people don't usually eat, right? So we're just sort of creating like that. If you really want to eat meat, then eat chicken because it's the most sustainable one. Could do that or fish, but we're going to run out of fish too. But anyway, um, and then all right, so that's all. Like so, you fixed your diet. All right, what else? Right, so we could go to university campuses and just the vibe is like, all right, well we all quit porn. So let's just chill out in the park at uni. Let's just vibe. It's just like bring a frisbee or something. And the just like you could also discuss if you want, like because I've never met a uni student who doesn't want interdisciplinary collaboration. I've never met one. They all want like I want to be able to like the unis don't do it because it's difficult to market. It sucks, right? And like yeah. So what you do instead is you're like, all right, we'll do it ourselves. So maybe just like if we're going to keep a good routine, then come to these little vibes in the park, bring a potato, bring fruit, right? Like mix it up. And just like the loose vibe is like if anyone wants to work together to solve a problem, just figure out how to tackle this problem locally and let it scale. And like track all these numbers in your local community and get them lower in some way. And like don't protest because that doesn't do anything. Unfortunately, I know it's the easiest option, but no, like use your brain, figure it out, and then share it with the class. And the class is the world, and things will just grow from that. There'll be so many cool initiatives. Just because like you've got more people like chatting and like intersecting ideas. Yeah. Anyway, so that's it. And then eventually, and then very quickly that becomes like your test net for a more beautiful world. And yeah, it gets people out of the house. Like, how many elderly people are lonely and doing nothing and want to use their brain who are extremely experienced? Um, yeah, and they're probably not using porn at their age, but plenty of people are too, but they can cure it too. Um, and then that paves the way for other addictions as well. You can very easily, from that point, quit. You can cure people of what was destroying people's lives. Definitely alcohol, or definitely smoking. Like pretend I didn't say alcohol and alcohol. Right? It's just it's super bad. We shouldn't be running a society on alcohol like a depressant. Like no way. Life without alcohol is better than life with it. 10 trillion%. I have more fun not drinking than like I tell people that like no like did you have a problem with alcohol? I'm like no, not at all. I was no form of alcoholic at all, but it's just an addictive substance. And unless you don't want to do it, like unless you've got like this, it's like porn brainwashing times 10, but you can get out of it. And like there's a couple of like Jason Bale has a good book on it. And if someone gave me infinite money, I would get that book everywhere, and like cure the world of it. And then a couple other ways to do that, but to make it even more widespread. I've got a couple of ideas. But yeah, that's sort of it. That's what I want. 10 trillion%. And it's all if they try and kill me too, like I've got like it all written down and succession and everything. So it's not about me, but yeah, I just, as long as this accomplishes, that's fine.
Yes.
I don't really want to be associated with it, as in like personality form. When I'm in that vibe and I've had like a couple of spiritual revelations, I know a deep one is coming pretty soon. I can just feel it. I feel on a good path. But yeah, that's where we're at. Yeah, you know.
So, I guess one of the most important points here is that when you stop consuming porn, you just have so much time,
Mm,
free time, to do actually things that are actually good for you. And when a whole community starts doing that, they their priorities shift and they stop being like passive consumers of things that are bad
mm,
for them.
mm,
And then they can actually explore what makes them happy. But we are, as a society, we're so brainwashed to do certain things that are seen as normal. Um, I'm sure you can also discuss things like alcohol and smoking, but with porn, for me, the biggest problem with porn is just that it's so, like I already said, that I might be maybe a bit repetitive here, but I just feel like it's so such a taboo to talk about it, and nobody really, like, it's such a big problem. Like everyone does it, like guys at least, and we just don't really talk about it. Like it's such a strange combination, right?
mm,
It's so self-explanatory to be using porn. Like it's so natural to be using porn, and at the same time, we all suffer from we suffer in silence, and we suffer alone from the consequences of it. And I have a lot of memories like that. Like I've seen fucked up shit, and personally, I've been mostly a programmatic hentai user in the past, and it's just sad that people don't realize how this substance controls their brain and their lives, and how much of their potential goes lost
mm,
um because of it, because you can't think clearly. And like you said in the beginning of this conversation, you said something like, if you're on semen retention, you have all this energy. And
mm,
well, I experienced the same. Like I'm always like in a certain high on a certain high level of energy compared to the past, because I just live um I just live for the right reasons, so to say.
mm,
I have a purpose, and I'm doing things that are actually meaningful, and I'm not doing things that are just sabotaging my stability, my progress, and that in turn creates depression.
mm,
So it's a bit tragic that people who have actually quit this, they understand how it works,
mm.
but then nobody talks about it. So um
Nothing happens. Nothing
yeah,
changes.
nothing changes. So of course you could say, like, you have this method and this book and people read it, and it must be very gratifying for you that there are people who certainly come across this material and stop being in this kind of like Coomer mode, like this normal mode of being in our society. Also, like you mentioned, TikTok, all these things that are constantly keeping us so plugged into the matrix of addiction and the matrix of wasting time and algorithms. Like I think with the internet, we've lost so much authenticity in our lives.
Mm.
It's it's really sad to think about it. And I'm really happy that guys like you are doing what they can to help spread the message and also make it more global. And it's not just like, let's quit porn and then what, but you also, I feel like you also really want people to flourish, and not just individuals but societies to become healthier than they are right now. And yeah, it's uh it's very interesting. um so unless you have anything to say in response to that, I would like to ask you something else.
Yeah, all I'd say in response to that is that Lucas, you summarized that perfectly. That was perfect. Yeah, no, that was really elegantly put. That's it. yeah, that's it.
Yes, it's very sad, but it's also very enlightening at the same time. Like I can also just see this better future, and I feel like anyone who quits this poison isn't like an added benefit
Mm.
going forwards. Like I'm so happy that people are seeing the light, so to say, and it sounds a little religious, but I'm just meaning it in a secular way. Like I'm happy that people can see the truth about this and stop lying to themselves. Because if you're a porn user or a hentai user, all you do is constantly lie to yourself. Like this is okay.
Mm.
Like I feel very guilty, or I feel confused, or all these negative feelings, depressed. But it's
Mm.
okay because it's healthy to masturbate every day, or something you read in the news, like some nonsense.
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, and what's more, when that happens, is that the thoughts that people then experience is like they experience this suffering, and it clouds their mind personally. It clouds anyone they interact with, like the interactions that we could be having, like the micro interactions, could be like more beautiful. And then that all the thoughts that we collectively experience, it's like it's in the cosmic atmosphere, sort of, and that the thoughts that we all experience together dictate our reality and our future. So yeah, and snapping more people out of that is the only way forward. We're at the intersect of so many surprisingly exciting endeavors. I work with people with a disability, like full body disability and everything. Imagine if they could, like, there's like, neural links coming, for instance, like, and that's like not even like science fiction, right? Like people, they're putting chips and he can like chat. Um, but yeah, there's so many cool things that are coming, and if we capitalize on making them work for the betterment of humanity at a forefront, and people, this is partly I want to discuss consent in EasyPeasy, but in like a more, instead of just like showing people a video about tea, which tells people like it's like what we accept from each other, right? And like, um yeah, like there's like giving and receiving, and like there's definitions, like there's the wheel of consent, but puts it really perfectly in like, yeah, what we accept as a society um, is very sad, and there's another way. So yeah.
So, something I wanted to ask you. So, I know you've been traveling around the world, and
Yeah.
so, yeah, it was. I think you're back now. You're back home now, but you've had a really interesting lifestyle the last few years. So, can you tell me something about? Is that real? Was that related to your method and trying to spread the word?
um, on paper, it was. In what I, it wasn't until, yeah, I learned a lot about myself over the last couple of years. Um, yeah, and I had to. There's something about, I don't think traveling is good medicine, but isn't the perfect medicine. Like, yeah, like I lost. I was looking for happiness for a long time, and then I found it right where I lost it, and like we chatted about that for a bit. That was pretty cool. But yeah, it's like, how do I even put these last couple of years into words? Like, I don't know. Like, I like had, yeah, I had like I set out like on like vision scale of like where, like, it's funny, like if you go on like a path on life for a while, and you like, I don't know, I haven't put into words ever before. Someone in Kuala Lumpur summarized it really well, like, and she had like a religious take on it. It was like if you have like a path that you're on, then you can do deviations from it, but you always come back. And I remember like years ago, I can't visualize personally. I can't visualize at all. But I have full aphantasia. And a long time ago, but in the grand scheme of things, not too long ago. And I had like this vision, like I've never experienced. I was like in like a, I was in a state. I was in like a state of pure mental clarity, but in a weird circumstance. And I was able to visualize this like loosely, but I was able to visualize this world completely. Like, I don't know, like circular buildings, like in like a circle, like with like garden in it. And then I tried doing that while creating that reality while completely burnt out and not being around the right people, especially intimately, and like people who hadn't dealt with their trauma at all. And I tried to, like, yeah, I tried like fixing people. I tried like being like people gravitate, like if you're like a pretty stable person, then people gravitate to, I find that happens a lot. And so I tried like helping people and sort of being that sort of like supportive sort of like for a while guru figure, and then like for some people father figure, and that isn't good. And then so if you like go out in the world and try and like solve these problems while like completely burnt out, you'll burn yourself out. And then I just had to go overseas for a bit, I'm being honest. But then that adventure was rather beautiful, and I learned so much about the world. I got perspective over different people's like journeys, and like was able to like conceptual, like just see how different things operated, and like just be be in the world but not of it. And that was pretty cool. And then after that, like yeah, like I think like I was under in 2021. It was probably the, I would say, the worst year of my life. And yeah, then it like yeah, then I just had to go. I just had to go. So much happened, and then it like yeah, then like yeah, this just I tell people the story, and they're like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I've never sort of talked about it before, but it sucked, and then it was over. And I learned a lot about my probably my biggest strength, my biggest weakness is my ability to hyper focus. Like when I was in New Zealand, I was hyper focusing on like that sort of that sort of thing, uh, like easy peasy, and I was able to like focus for 8 hours a day on it because I loved it. And then, um, but like I was under I was in this I was in this project with people, and I was like I was just like so obsessed with that sort of thing that it was like yeah, I was just like a total people pleaser. And there came like a point over like yeah, like I like yeah, the sacrifices I've made now have put me in a very good state, and it's like no longer just like your suffering is always self-created. I think I'd say so. It's like a reaction to like your own thoughts, but I'm not fully there yet. But I'm good enough to like to be in like to be able to like I've glimpsed enough of logistics and fixed my like my trust issues with the world and people that I was able to like think that yeah this feels like I'm sort of going around in a swamp, but it's real. Like like this sort of memory, but like unless you like are fully like unless you have self purified yourself, you will just be in suffering continually, and that is like yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. I feel like I haven't with all these things that are going on, and I'm pretty yeah, like life's pretty good. I'm with my family and everything. Um, it was it was peaceful. It was I don't know, like all the ideas I had and like the way to implement. Now I'm rambling. I don't feel fully there yet, but I'm very close. I'm on the cusp of something extremely like I like all these things colliding together. I know that it's gonna like yeah, I'm gonna have like a yeah, different vibration. I don't know. So this is like whole thing. Like even I notice like when I'm like too focused on something, I yeah, there's something I'm not getting at the moment. There's something I'm not getting, and I'm close to it, but you can't get there from here. I know that just like being happy, big smiles is the way to do it. I've got a smile at the moment. Yeah. No, like, yeah. Had like a weird experience where I was able to like I know, it's like unlocking a new mode of my brain where I was like, oh, like you've like now that you're like pure, you can like allocate work to people now and like not be like, yeah, damn, I've never talked about that. I didn't think I would. It's like the tempting thing is to have like a completely squeaky clean persona, but we're human, right? But yeah, no, like everyone has struggles. But yeah, I know I met a guy who had that sort of thing where he was like he was like sleep deprived or something, and then um he had like he was like, oh, this is like me version 2.0, and we were chatting. Yeah, well, anyway, thanks for listening. I don't know, that was too crazy. Yeah, I'm sort of just doing self reflection on the fly. Anyway,
Well, I guess I hope it also helps you gain a bit of clarity on some things, like when you think about it a different way than usual. Like if you're always on your own thinking about this, that's just one perspective, but someone can just let you see other sides of the story than you would when you're just alone. And that's also what I get with conversations like this. I'm just I'm just like exposed to new insights and other ways of looking at life. And I think it's really interesting if like I think you took on a rather big responsibility at a young age with this whole project, with this whole hackbook thing. And I guess to some extent you don't even have a real overview of what you're getting into. Um, but you have a very strong character, so you put in the work and you keep on doing it, and I think you really believe in what you do, and it's very authentic. So I love that, and I can understand what you're saying is that it's kind of a like a hero's call of adventure thing. Is that you're maybe you wanted to help people, and you thought you found that you weren't ready for it because maybe you hadn't sorted out your own shit, and maybe now you've become a little mature, a little more mature, you're a bit older, and you just have more life experience. And yes, I hope you'll be able to help people in any way possible going forward. Like literally, you are helping these handicapped people, like these.
people with a disability.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But who knows what what's on the road ahead for you
Mm.
with your struggle against porn, like not personal, but I mean like the your mission against porn use in people. Um, so yeah, I think it's really important to talk about this. And do you have any plans of um, helping people directly, or do you just prefer to be writing and um, spreading your method through other means, at like advertising it somewhere, or I don't know. It's just
The where you see grifters, I'll jump into that in a second. If you want my take on, there's only the now, as we all know. Whoa, that's tripped me out. Yeah, it's just I think I'm distracting myself with my project with like and then like yeah, wondering why. Yeah, wow. yeah, and then I just seem to burn myself out. I have these big visions and like just burn myself out every November when I sit, like, instead of just like being here. Anyway, we're fine. We're good. The There's a lot of different ways you can put like place attention. A lot of different places you can put it. And if I were to just spend time helping individual people, that would help. But yeah, just the moments when I'm no longer a personality are the most clear. And it's like able to conceptualize just the world as a whole. And it makes individual like problems. Like I want to be able to solve them on like a wide scale. And everything's because it all intersects, like it's a lot easier to do that if you're just like, yeah. Oh geez. Anyway, move
Yeah,
on.
this is something you've told me before, that you prefer to spend your time on spreading this message like more collectively, and it's just a way, indeed, a different way of reaching people. Like you can work with people individually. That's very helpful on an individual level, but um, yeah, I really hope that you find your ways to keep um, like to spread this whole thing, the PMO Hackbook, by like I struggle a bit with how to word this, but um, like you create some kind of system, and then people they recommend this by themselves, so you don't have to do everything,
Mm.
but it just kind of spreads itself through people's enthusiasm. Um, so is that
Yeah,
what
that's
you're?
exactly it.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
you're trying to achieve, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of like just allowing people to self-govern themselves. It's Yeah, that's the reason I actually started a charity. Funnily enough, it's called Peaceful Foundation. And it's like, yeah, you don't want to dictate people how to live their life. You know, it's just like it's just better to accept people. Like everyone just wants to be able to do the best they can. You know, so yeah, you might as well just create a supportive world where like, you don't have to accept what people do, but you just have to like, or you don't have to like love what people do, but you have to understand that everyone has their own reasons for doing everything. So as soon as you start rebelling against that, then that's like, yeah, that's not it. Like that just subjects you to countless numbers of suffering. I don't judge people ever, ever, because everyone has their own reasons for doing everything. And yeah, the way to live your life is to understand them. And so yeah, and yourself too. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'm feeling good. Actually good now. Yeah, if you want my take on how life's gonna go, I mean I've yeah, oh geez. Um yeah, I mean I didn't want to be like famous or anything. That's like this thing. So yeah, the way the way like I want to like just go back to uni and do stuff. And sort of like just yeah, I know I have to do this first. This is my purpose, but like yeah, so I'm probably going to be around for a bit and then just release high quality stuff as this is all just plan. It's just clarity. Um, but yeah, then I'll just go away for a bit and come back and solve the next problem. Just leave you guys to it. Uh, if you really need me, then I'll come back. But if it like starts going off course, but no, that's it. Like you guys should be able to do it all yourselves. But yeah, just yeah, I don't know. Whoa, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I would say don't look at until my Urbit planet name at the moment. Like I lost my Urbit planet a couple of years ago. I'm very sad. Because I used to have like the sigil like MISLYR MIDNYT, Mistler Midnight. Oh, it was like the best planet. I paid a pretty penny for it too, like 150 USD, because they didn't have like the bloody what's it called? Like layer 2 solution, like roll-ups. So like, like now they've like reduced like planet buying time to like cost to like times like 62% like times cheaper, which is like just amazing. So yeah, my other planet, it was like I deleted my computer for dramatic effect to show like like people like something like, and then like it turns out that my the crypto wallet is installed in like bloody like local directories on my bloody on my Linux computer. So it was just, yeah, it was just a lot easier. What anyway, man, the sleep deprivation that I've accrued over the last couple of days is finally taking effect. Yeah, hold on, I'll just fall asleep real quick. Yeah, so I lost my orbit planet. So I'd say like I'll check back once I have like Mistler Midnight, I'll probably unmask or something. So then I was like Mistler Midnight and I was like vibing and I lost it. And then I got like Mog Sub Possum, which is at least Australian. And then like, yeah, and now I'm Rackneck Palren, which I'll be around for a bit, but don't consider Fraser complete until I have like Mistler Midnight. When we have Mistler Midnight, I'll like, that's like, when you can like, yeah, well, all right, I guess I'll just go on this bloody journey. I'm like, oh, thanks, Lucas.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah, wow. Um, yeah, just be. Wow. Anyway,
Yes. Maybe just one last thing I want to ask before we end the video
yeah.
is what can people do? What practical steps can people take to promote your method if they want
Uh,
to join your
yeah,
community, or are there like any posters they can print and
yeah. So it's a multi thing approach. Yeah, if you think of like that triangle, it's like local, social, global. If the best thing you can do, probably if you just want to like is watch a video on my YouTube channel tomorrow. um yeah, that's probably the best thing you can do. I've got all the theming and stuff for it. The second best thing, like just join watch that video, then join the Discord server and get assigned a task to do. But the whole challenge of it, which is essentially getting making systems that endlessly scale, was the challenge for it. Because like you need to be able to handle like a lot of people, so they got to scale upwards and downwards. Um, so yeah, that was it. Yeah,
so I'll post the links in the description of the video.
yeah, yeah.
And
Just the Discord link, and then yeah, just go to EasyPeasy Method. I'm updating the landing page too. There's like, yeah, I'm just gonna, yeah, I've been bloody thinking about it too much, to be honest. Yeah, yeah, I've been doing a lot of stuff with it too, but yeah, there's just so many moving parts that it's easy to get lost in it. But
yeah,
yeah, yeah, cool. All right.
well, I think the advice is pretty clear. I hope to speak to you again,
Yeah,
because
you
it's
will.
yeah, it's
Yeah, we
always
always,
interesting to exchange
yeah,
some thoughts with you, right?
yeah, 100%, mate. You're a great bloke. I remember we almost met up in bloody Amsterdam. I'll have to jump back, but uh, yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for today, and hope to speak to you again.
Yeah, do like it. Yeah, catch you soon.